Have you ever stopped to ponder where politics originated from? Who decided that one individual or a group of individuals should make decisions for the rest? Our journey begins thousands of years ago in the age of tribal leaders and monarchies. Picture a group of early humans huddled around a fire. Decisions had to be made: where to hunt, when to move camp. Someone needed to take charge, and thus the first seeds of politics were sown. These leaders were often the strongest, the wisest, or the most respected members of the tribe. They were the decision makers, the rule setters, the original politicians. Fast forward a few millennia to the city-states of ancient Greece. Here we see the birth of what we now recognize as formal politics. These city-states, or polis, were independent entities, each with its own government and laws. It was in these city-states that the concept of citizenship was born. For the first time, ordinary people could have a say in the decisions that affected their lives. This was the birth of democracy, a system of government by the people, for the people. But let's not forget that politics existed even before these formal structures. In every society, in every era, there have always been leaders and followers, rules and norms, power struggles and negotiations. Politics is as old as human society itself. It is a complex tapestry woven from the threads of human interaction, decision-making, and power dynamics. Just like any other human invention, politics has evolved over time. From tribal leaders to monarchs, from city-states to modern democracies, each era has left its own mark on the political landscape. Each generation has shaped and reshaped politics to fit their circumstances, their beliefs, their dreams, and their fears. So, politics was born out of necessity and has been evolving ever since. Whether we realize it or not, politics is an integral part of our lives, shaping our societies, our cultures, and our very identities. It's a journey that started around a primitive fire, a journey that continues today in the halls of power around the world. It's a journey that we are all a part of, a journey that's far from over. As societies grew larger and more complex, so did their political systems. Let's dive into the politics of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. During the Middle Ages, a political system known as feudalism took hold. This was largely a hierarchical system where power was distributed from the top down. The king granted lands or fiefs to his most important noblemen, who in turn pledged their loyalty and military service to the king. These noblemen then granted portions of their lands to lesser lords, who pledged their own loyalty and service. This created a web of obligations and dependencies that held society together. However, as the Middle Ages gave way to the Renaissance, the dawn of a new era in politics began. The Renaissance, often hailed as a period of rebirth, was a time of great intellectual and cultural change. This era saw the rise of humanism, a philosophical movement that emphasized the value and agency of the individual. It encouraged people to question authority and the status quo, including the absolute power of monarchies, which was a radical shift from the unquestioning obedience expected during the feudal era. Furthermore, the Renaissance era also witnessed the birth of nation states as kingdoms consolidated their power and expanded their territories. They began to form more centralized governments. This marked the rise of monarchies, where a single ruler, often a king or queen, held supreme power. However, the seeds of questioning authority sown by humanism would eventually lead to the questioning of these absolute monarchies as well. Thus, the Middle Ages and the Renaissance set the stage for the next big shift in politics. These periods saw the transition from decentralized feudal systems to more centralized nation states, from unquestioning obedience to authority to a culture of questioning and challenging the status quo. And as we'll see in the next part of our journey through the history of politics, these changes would have profound and lasting impacts on the political landscape. As societies continued to evolve, so did their political systems. The next major shift came with the Enlightenment and the rise of democracies. The Enlightenment, that intellectual and philosophical movement of the 17th and 18th centuries, was a catalyst for political evolution. It championed reason, individualism, and skepticism towards traditional institutions. These principles, percolating through societies, began to challenge the established order, leading to calls for a more equitable system where power was not concentrated in the hands of the few. One of the most significant outcomes of this period was the American Revolution. Discontented with British rule, the American colonies sought to establish a government by the people, for the people. The revolution was more than just a war for independence. It was a war for the principles of democracy and the right to self-governance. The United States Constitution, adopted in 1787, embodied these ideals and set a precedent for other nations. Across the Atlantic, the French Revolution erupted. Inspired by their American counterparts, the French populace rose against the monarchy, demanding liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution, while far bloodier, was another significant step towards modern democracy. The spread of democratic ideals sparked the formation of political parties. As societies became more complex, differing views on governance, economy, and social issues led to the creation of various political ideologies, from conservatism to liberalism, socialism to nationalism. These ideologies drove the formation of political parties, each seeking to shape society according to their vision. These developments laid the groundwork for the political landscape we see today. The rise of democracies marked a shift from autocratic rule to a system where power rested with the people. This era saw the birth of the modern political system, with its debates, elections, and the constant struggle for balance between individual freedoms and societal needs. And with that, we enter the era of modern politics. Fast forward to the 21st century, and politics has become a global affair. Let's take a look at how politics has evolved in recent years. The rise of globalization has had a profound impact, transforming politics from national to international. This shift has given birth to powerful international institutions such as the United Nations and the World Trade Organization, which now play pivotal roles in shaping global policies. However, the 21st century has not been without its challenges. Issues like climate change and inequality have taken center stage, demanding collective action and political will. Climate change, in particular, has emerged as a defining political issue, pushing countries to rethink their policies and collaborate on a global scale. Similarly, growing economic inequality has sparked political movements and policy debates, forcing us to question the very foundations of our political systems. So, as we can see, politics continues to evolve, shaped by the challenges and opportunities of our times. So what have we learned from this whirlwind tour of the history of politics? From the primal roots of tribal leadership, politics has evolved significantly. We witnessed how the Middle Ages and the Renaissance brought drastic shifts in political structures, with monarchies, feudal systems, and the birth of modern statehood. It was a time of power plays, alliances, and revolutions that laid the groundwork for the politics we know today. We then journeyed into the rise of democracies, seeing how the idea of people power and representation started to take hold. The modern era brought us a new understanding of politics, where the citizen's voice matters most. Finally, we delved into 21st century politics, a complex web of ideologies, policies, and international relations. We are now in an era where politics is as diverse as the world's cultures and as dynamic as the ever-changing global landscape. And with that, we come to the end of our journey through the situations, through the history of politics. Remember, understanding our past is key to navigating our present and shaping our future.